Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Barbecue Talk. On today's episode, we talk to mad scientist barbecue Jeremy Yoder. So before I get into the actual conversation I had with Jeremy Yoder, I just want to say how honored I am to be part of YouTube drama, especially with someone who has such a large following as he does. But I also want to say that it's really silly, I think, to that there are certain comments are posted or things that are said that kind of start all this. So this kind of all stemmed from obviously the conversation that I had with Evan Leroy, talking about the foil boat and kind of how it started, and it just kind of went into people saying that we're creating some drama or we hate each other and all that kind of stuff, which is absolutely not true. And I think you guys will see that when we go into our conversation. That's just what I wanted to say before we got into this. Jeremy Yoder and I are not, we don't have any drama against each other. I actually think he's a really awesome guy. We're just in the same way that the barbecue community in Texas is built by meeting each other and talking to each other and all that kind of stuff. I think it's the same way for YouTube. I'm glad that I don't know. I don't want to say I'm glad that there is some sort of drama or whatever that was talked about from other people, but I am happy that it kind of opens up opportunities to meet and to talk to other people who are doing similar things, because it just makes it a little bit more fun and a little more enjoyable when you feel like there's a community behind it, of not just like me and everyone who's watching these videos, but of other people who are also trying to create content around the same sort of material. So with that being said, hope you guys enjoy the conversation that I had with Jeremy Yoder of Mad Scientist Barbecue.
All right. Well, finally we going through a lot of technical difficulties just to get this recording going. So unfortunately, we couldn't get this to be live stream so we can answer questions straight from YouTube. But really glad to have Jeremy Yoder from Mad Scientist Barbecue here. You know, I feel like I've known you just because barbecue people on YouTube. It seems like we all have the same sort of people that watch similar videos and stuff like that.
Right.
But yeah, just to kind of start off, like the reason why we're doing this is because you had reached out to me on Instagram, just because it seemed like other people were upset about certain things that
Sure,
that were
sure.
shared on YouTube, and we just wanted to come out and just be able to talk and be able to say, like, I don't think there really is any beef, quote unquote, just between
Sure.
us. And yeah, we're just here to clear the air and just to talk barbecue.
Yeah, so I reached out to you because I had somebody message me saying, "Oh, well, they were taking shots at you on this podcast," and so I just messaged you. It's like, "Hey, what's up?" And then I found the video. I watched what took place, and I was like, "If this is taking shots, then I mean, they have a very low threshold for, I guess criticism. So it was totally fine with me. I don't care. You could say that I'm doing things completely wrong. It's not going to hurt my feelings. That's totally fine. But I thought it's best just to talk to you directly and figure out what's going on, because I have zero interest in drama or beef or any. Well, I love beef, but this kind of beef, I have zero interest in any of that stuff. It's just all of that, like gossip and stuff like that, is repulsive to me. I have no desire to be a part of it at all. So I thought, well, let me talk to this guy and see what's going on. Maybe I'm being a moron about something. Maybe I'm a knucklehead in some way. I don't know. And if that's true, I want to find out, and then maybe I can fix stuff.
Yeah, so in terms of it, I think the interesting thing is that we kind of briefly talked about it in our when we were just kind of like messaging back and forth on Instagram, and then we had a conversation a couple of days ago.
Hmm.
And I think the one thing that's really interesting to see is that now there is so much information out there about different cooking techniques and of
Hmm.
how people hold briskets and stuff like that. Like right now, I'm sure like you probably see all the trends of like what everyone's talking about,
Yeah.
like the foil boat, and then more importantly than ever, it's been like people are like, oh, we're supposed to hold a brisket more than 2 hours, or like we
Right. Right.
can, because we were like, can I hold this thing overnight? I'm like, you should hold it overnight, because if you don't, you won't sleep.
Yeah, yeah. No, I totally understand. One weird thing about me though is I've actually started not really watching other barbecue channels very much
I'm the same.
because
I'm the same.
yeah, basically for me, I don't want to recreate things that other people have done. And so I'm kind of pursuing my own investigation of like, let me try this. I wonder how this will work. I think this is a good idea. I want to try to, pursue my own line of barbecue inquiry, essentially, and then offer it to viewers and hope that they think it's as interesting as I think it is.
It's really interesting because, when I started this barbecue talk series, you can always tell because I was really just making it based off of questions that I was receiving in comments or
Mhm.
based off of what people were sending me on Instagram. I got a lot of questions for the foil boat after you had made that video, and similar to how like what you were saying before, I didn't want to just put in my 2 cents. Like I wanted to bring in the person who kind of started it.
That was the issue, I guess, the
Yeah.
point of contention that somebody thought that I'd be offended or something, I guess, but no, not at all. So I think in the video, you were saying you had no idea why I was using butcher paper with the foil boat in combination. And so in the beginning of my video about that, I thought I explained it. I guess I didn't do a good job of explaining it. But essentially, when I was living in LA, there was a TV show being filmed that brought in a famous barbecue guy to cook barbecue for the TV show.
Mhm.
And when I got my smoker back, there was about, I don't know, 20 gallons of water in my firebox, which I didn't appreciate. But inside the
Yeah.
smoker, there were little foil boats with butcher paper in them that were left there.
Mm.
And my shovel was missing. So overall, it was not a good experience. But I was like, wait, what's going on here? Are they using butcher paper and foil? There's not enough foil to completely wrap the brisket, so they can't use the whole thing.
Right, right.
And so I was like, okay, well, I've been thinking about this for a couple of years. I'm going to try to recreate what that guy did. And so that video is just, let me see if this works. And so I found basically that it shortened the cook time and it didn't kind of make it all soupy on the inside like foil
Right.
can do.
Mhm.
I think it's about sweating out enough water. It's not super important, but that's where the method that I used came from. And I know that Leroy and Lewis, they use a very different, well, not very different, a somewhat different method with the foil boat where there's
Yeah.
no butcher paper involved. So
Right.
probably what they were thinking about what I was doing, they're like, what kind of Frankenstein weird stuff is this guy doing? Like, why are you using
Right,
both?
right, right. The purpose of the foil boat was that, they wanted to get the bark on top without it being soggy from wrapping that paper, but
Right.
still have something at the bottom to collect liquid so that the lean end at least is still getting that extra liquid that you would typically get from wrapping in
Sure.
paper, while still maintaining that integrity of the bark on top as much as possible.
Mhm.
So, even
Yep.
that was just kind of like a discussion of like, if the purpose of just the foil boat is to, have that really, really crusty bark, then the foil wrap kind of doesn't, it's kind of like counter to just using the boat
Mhm.
itself.
My thought process before I did that video was, let's see how this turns out. And
Yeah.
then after I was like, oh, okay. So the bark doesn't get, washed away and soupy like it would have been if I had wrapped in foil completely, but it speeds the cook time. So that's
Mhm.
kind of where I came away with it. I found that using that method, the flat underneath can kind of get overcooked doing that.
Mhm.
And so it might be, falling apart. And that's why I haven't continued to do it because I've experimented with it some, but it was just an investigation just to see, well, how does this work? Is
Yeah.
there any merit to it? Is there any reason I might want to do it? So if I were ever in a time crunch, and I need these things to be done as soon as possible, yeah, I could use the foil boat and it would be a
Exactly.
tool,
Yeah. For sure.
in my tool bag that I can break out if necessary.
Exactly.
But the overall method that I use hasn't changed to adopt that foil boat. It's just a contingency plan, essentially.
Like sometimes when I try to do one myself too at home to see if I can like still get the right feel, and it's just like I can get close to it, but like I'm just not like I don't have as many like cues and reads that I have as well as I do with butcher paper, because that one I feel like I'm dialed in. I'm like
Right.
after 4 hours, 5 hours, 6 hours old to the end, like I know what it should look like, feel like, smell like, all that. But butcher paper, I'm
Yeah.
still, or foil boat, I'm still kind of like I'm not exactly sure, so I'm gonna lean on back to what I'm used to.
Yeah. And I think whatever gives you the results that you want is what you should use. So I'm not saying, butcher paper is the only way,
No,
or
absolutely
foil is the only way, or the foil boat is the only way. Basically, whatever gives you the right result that you like better than the others is the right answer for you.
Yep, exactly. Preference. I always tell people all the time, like, I'm not trying to say my way is the right way. It's just the way that I do it because I feel most comfortable with it, and it comes out the way that I like. So it's like, don't
Right,
put in
right.
the comments that like I did exactly what you did and I don't like it. Like, all right, well then find your way of doing it. That's fine.
It's about understanding the principles that you can then apply for whatever the given situation is.
Yeah.
And so if you learn those principles, then you can say, okay, I'm looking at this thing, it's not doing what I want. Okay, what's going wrong and how can I fix it? And you can adjust. So you could, adapt those same principles to different kinds of smokers, different kinds of environments, a different elevation, different humidity. And it's really about having the knowledge and those tools, I think, that drives me to make videos and hopefully inspire people to get out there and be involved in outdoor cooking. Part of the process is you're going to mess stuff up. I know I messed up a lot of stuff when I was first getting started.
Oh yeah.
The only problem was I was too dumb to even know it. I was like, this is great, smoky and good.
Me too. Me too. I talk to a lot of guys who cook, but then there's very few who like I said, there's a lot of people who replicate, and then I think there are a few who kind of investigate and do their own thing. And like you're like the one of the first guys that brought up the tallow in the brisket.
Yeah.
And like, I again, people were I knew I saw your thumbnail. I like knew that that question was gonna come up because it was just kind of like everyone's watching his videos and then they want me to answer, right? And I didn't want to do that because I'm like, I don't want to talk about someone else's videos. I've been to barbecue restaurants that add the tallow and that don't. And do I think there's a difference? I think if you are doing this, I mean, I've tried both, and I wouldn't say there's a significant difference between the two. But for me, my thing is that, when I'm cooking, like when I was working at Terry Black's and I'm cooking 150 briskets, at that time, we don't have time to add tallow to every single brisket and just to do all that. And so, for me, it was more so, how can you still get a high quality product while limiting as many steps as possible? So, which is why, I
Totally.
said like, if you are just doing one or two and if you like it, then obviously go for it.
Yeah. So the tallow thing, I didn't know that it would turn into, I guess, what it turned into, because it's like left and right. I see video suggestions like beef tallow brisket, beef tallow, how to render beef tallow, this and that. And I just had no idea that it would become, its own little phenomenon among barbecuers on YouTube. But yeah, so what I tried to essentially break down in that video was reasons I think this could be the answer for things that I was able to observe. So there were people who told me, who clued me in on this, right? I had some thoughts about maybe it could be beef tallow, maybe it could be clarified butter, something's going on. I don't know what it is. And then people who would know, I'll just leave it there. People who would know told me that that's what's going on. And so I don't want to throw those people under the bus in the video. So I didn't name anybody or
Yeah.
Sure. So do I think that that's what he's doing? I think so. Can I prove it? No way. Not a chance. Is it John Lewis who is one of the original pit masters for Franklin?
Yeah, he was at Franklin and then he was at La Barbecue and then now he's in Charleston. So.
Yeah. So I remember I saw a thing where he did an interview where he said that he's never cooked a brisket with just salt and pepper in his life.
Yep.
Yeah. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I know every single video that you're probably talking about, thinking about that you've seen in the last 10 years.
Yeah. Okay. Well, so I read that and I was thinking, well, that's strange. And then the next line is that includes at Franklin. So is salt and pepper just the play action fake of the barbecue world? And I don't know, but I want to investigate and find out, see, well, can I improve this product? Because I've tried using complicated rubs and making briskets that way. I don't like it any better. I think it's worse.
Yeah.
But if you like it, then use it. But maybe we're missing something or maybe I'm missing something. You probably have a lot more firsthand experience than I do in those, Central Texas barbecue spots. But for me, it's about the pursuit of knowledge. I'm not in love with the things that I know how to do well. I'm in love with finding new things to learn.
I hope you guys enjoyed that conversation that I had with Jeremy Yoder. First off, I just want to say thank you to him for being open to do this and making time to do this as well. And like I always say with these videos, you know, and the way that I do things, and even the way that he was talking about things, it's just kind of we're just experimenting. We're just playing around with things, and at the end of the day, we're just trying to come out with what we like and how we like to do things. And you know, like I always say, when I'm making something and it's something that has to do with a process or recipes and stuff like that, it don't really matter, because all of it at the end of the day is just your preference. You might follow something that someone does to a T, and you might think like, you know what, I think I can change things up and make it better. And if that's what you like, then you should. And I hope the conversation that Jeremy and I had will kind of show that, and it'll be an example of what we're talking about when we say in our videos that we're just experimenting with things, we're finding what we like, we're testing out different methods, and it's just kind of part of the process. There is no, you know, one way is better than the other. It's just what you like best. The other thing I want to add is that, you know, I think Jeremy and I have a lot of things that are in common. And even though in this short segment that I kind of like, you know, had to take segments out of just to kind of cover, you know, the bulk of, like, I guess what everyone was saying that we had, you know, drama about with the foil boat and the towel and all that kind of stuff, we actually ended up talking for a good 2 hours or so. And so, you know, to take out, you know, a 12 to 13 minute segment of our entire conversation, and to cut it down to that kind of sucks. We talked a lot about kind of, you know, our interests, even outside of barbecue and stuff like that, to the point where I almost forgot what we were doing this for. And we just had a little bit of fun with it. And like I said, that's what I love about just being able to be part of a community, is that, you know, obviously everyone wants to choose favorites or pick teams because we're used to doing that almost every aspect of our lives. But, you know, that's the one thing that I don't want this YouTube channel to become. It's not like team me versus someone else or all that kind of stuff, because it doesn't help anybody. I'm here to participate and be part of, you know, pushing barbecue forward and doing all that kind of stuff. But, you know, I definitely don't want to do that by, you know, bringing someone else down. You know, that's not something that I'm about. That's not something I like. If that's something that it seems like it's going that direction, I'd just rather not do this at all. So I'm pretty sure everyone who is a barbecue person or is following my channel because you're interested in the barbecue portion of what I talk about, that you already follow Mad Scientist Barbecue. But if not, make sure you go follow him. Get a good full-rounded perspective of what other people are doing with barbecue. Again, I have a certain preference of how I like to do things, but by no means does that mean you shouldn't or can't listen to someone else's point of view and apply that to what I say here. And in fact, I almost encourage you guys to do so, because like I said, I'm not about replicating barbecue. I'm about us trying to find our own way so that we can all be different. So I'm going to end the video here, guys. I hope you enjoyed that conversation. Hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure you guys like, subscribe, and share this video, especially to people who think that we got a problem, because those are the people this video is made for. I'll see you guys in the next one.